more I travel, the more I learn, and I figure out if I travel around the world and be in the communities around the world, that might be just the way to live. The main thing, being happy, is being with the community, and being healthy is also part of that, crucial part.
The only way to get rid of it is to express that shame in front of others, in front of a community, and feel accepted and loved for who you are. People see me, and guess what? They're not rejecting me. They love me even for something that it's hard to love myself for.
I don't value the money anymore that much. If I see someone successful, I value people with their deep peace and purpose in their lives. Because you cannot buy that with money. No matter how much you have, we all get to go through that, what Buddha calls suffering process, right? I feel if anybody watching this could do more for their self-care and self-love early in the morning, then the whole day will reflect like that.
For me, money is a tool for freedom and lifestyle. If you are not failing and making mistakes, you are not operating at your edges. I'm here with Prem Sangeet. I'm really glad. This is a man who's just done so much cool stuff in his life. And when you meet him, he's just so warm and open, and you can feel his intelligence, but just the heart is there. And you've done some really cool projects, the WOW retreats, the startup grind, multiple companies, you're CEO for the Labyrinth at Nuanu now. What are some other things that you're just really proud of?
I'm so proud to be here, actually. I'm so humbled. Thank you for your kind invitation, Joe, and hello everybody to tuning in and listening and watching this. I just love these conversations. So thank you for the intro. Yeah, it's been a wild journey and still is. So much to learn from, and so many communities to be in. So I'm very honored and grateful to be here, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a blessed life we live here in Bali. It's been incredible.
Bali is great. The more I travel, the more I learn, and I figure out if I travel around the world and be in the communities around the world, that might be just the way to live.
I think it is. I mean, it's an age-old idea of living in community and village that's really gotten lost over the years. And, we were just talking before the show about Nosara and the blue zones. And the blue zones, for those that don't know, are places that people live to over 100 years old quite often. Yeah. And Nosara is one of them. Loma Linda, California, Okinawa, Japan, Ikaria, Greece, and there's some other ones that they're now adding to the list. And what was interesting to me about these spaces is that when they came in to study them, they thought it's going to be the diet. That's going to be the red thread through everything. And it wasn't. The only red thread was people had purpose. They were living in community. They were in some sort of generational structure. So it wasn't just our age or just kids or just etc. Right? And then diet may have a bit to do with it, but it's actually the purpose, right? When you can feel like you have a reason to live, you live a lot longer. What have you learned from, the community, and what things has it brought you? Why is it important to you?
I love a blue zone concept, and I spend a lot of time in Costa Rica, especially. It's one of the most exotic blue zones out of 5 you mentioned. And I've been searching and discovering a lot of things with some research scientists, with doctors there, and also just hanging out with people and understanding what you mentioned is so true. And it's a relationship that these centenarians have, people who live more than 100 years or 105. They're 1,075 over 100 years old in Nosara alone, right? And they're I think 57 over 105. And in that tiny little place, right? So what I learned from them is they have specific relationship to things, and they have specific rituals and how they treat each other, how they gather together. And I think those are some of the key main things, is to live what I call longevity is healthy and happy, long life, right? So these two are the main thing. Being happy, it's being with the community, and being healthy is also part of that, crucial part. And I feel we come to this alignment only when our bodies are are healthy, yeah. And then our mind is a tool between the spirit and the body. For me, that's how I see it. So we can then use the mind to kind of enjoy fully, to really give to each other in a community. That's really what you said is giving a sense of purpose. So there's a lot of science happening there, a lot of talks, a lot of musicians, a lot of artists coming and exploring that. So I went a few years ago and joined a community there. And we started to build a community there, to build a place there as well, to really focus on longevity and innovation and creativity. And it's been just fantastic. It's just it seems like time has stopped, and then it's just those waves. And what I feel apart from these 5 places that you mentioned, which are blue zone, people are adding new to the list, right? So my goal is to travel around the world to these places, beautiful places like Bali that has like a deep spiritual kind of foundation, and it has a potential to become blue zone officially. For me, it already is. We see Singapore as another one that's like really interesting how the life span expands there, extends on us. So yeah, I feel we can bring those blue zones aspects within the communities, wherever they are. And it's beautiful thing about Bali is you have fantastic people like yourself and many others in these communities around Bali that they're joining forces to build like co-working spaces, villages, amazing cities like Nuanu and then other things in Ubud and then Uluwatu. So that's beautiful to see. And I'm also looking forward to meeting more of your communities. So I've been around a few of your gatherings that is just fantastic. I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's been a long journey, and for me, it was about feeling what it's like not to have that, and like knowing what the happiness level is. And when you're surrounded with people like yourself, and we can have these conversations, and we're doing cool stuff, and it's like you're doing this. Oh, let me help you with that. Let me get behind and push. It's like it creates an ease and a flow. It's one thing I really believe with community is. It's a way to have all the resources in a really healthy way. Instead of having to hustle to try to gather the resources and get everything yourself, you have people around. It's like, you know what, I'm really struggling with finances right now. Like, and somebody's like, let me give you a little loan to help get you through. Or a friend of mine has a job, let me introduce you. Maybe you'd be a good fit. And it's like, these are the things. Or it could be as simple as like, hey, Prem, do you know any girls that I can date? Like it's all there in having that. And in these blue zones, it's also having a purpose within that group, right? It's like, you know what your role is, and that role can shift and change, but underneath it, you know that if you don't show up one day, somebody's going to notice. And they're going to feel the effects of that because you are giving so much. And if I'm giving to you and you're giving to me, it's just, we're not keeping score. It just, man, it makes for such a better life and just laughter and smiles. And for me, one of the big things I'm looking for in community is those that I can feel fully expressed with.
Right.
I can have really geeky genetic engineering, quantum physics conversations, and then we can roll around doing like making fun of ourselves and playing dress up, right?
Just feel safe to express yourself. And that's so important. And there is something you mentioned it's body keeps the score actually. Yeah. So whatever we do, body keeps the score. There's some sort of imprint that stays with us. And I think having different relationships or someone in the community to clear that, it's fantastic. And I've been, especially on our retreats, looking at these aspects of like different perception and perspectives towards certain traumas or experiences that people have gone through, including good ones in the community, for example. And I found that, for example, when someone's ashamed, to express themselves, shame is one of the most inflammatory conditions that our body can have. It produces so much inflammation. And the only one of the rare ways to get rid of or release that shame is through being witnessed within a community that supports you, in a group of people that sees you and kind of say I went through the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And there's some sort of release that happens psychologically. There's just there's no more that imprint left. There is, but we have a new relationship with it because we kind of, and that's just one of the powers of community that allows us to go through our own things, being supported and loved. And then what I'm really interested in, because I did a lot of work and I'm still doing a lot of work, is where we can expand, where we can support our expansion and what are those values. And I believe that a foundation, the fabric of good community are the values. So I've been a part of Startup Grind community for so many years, and we're now, I don't know, 700 cities. There are almost 300 events a month. And this is been the world's largest community of entrepreneurs for a while now. And it's only because we set up the three main values, right? First one was give first, then take. So very pay forward attitude. Help others than yourself. And then make friends, not contacts. So just really getting into know each other genuinely, like over sipping tea or just being really curious. And I feel that in a business, when we slow down, things speed up because we actually open and talk to people instead of just being in a busy cities. Like I lived for 10 years in London, and the only thing I could do is like go from event to event, organize thousands of events, and just being in a networking that everybody's in a rush. And then when you sit down and actually talk to someone, you can see who they are, they can see you, and there's like, okay, well, it's most likely that this conversation is going to convert into something more meaningful, right? So I really love to see communities, to work with people that are good. I feel like those are like essential. Otherwise, it can get very challenging, as everything in life is a lesson.
A lot of them. Some easy, some hard. I just want to nail in this statement that I really loved is first of all, shame is inflammatory to your body.
Right.
The actual emotion of shame will inflame your body, which inflammation is one of the biggest causes of sickness, cancers, etc. And the only way to get rid of it is to express that shame in front of others, in front of a community, and feel accepted and loved for who you are. And there's a reminder that whatever shame you have, almost everyone on this earth has felt a similar shame at some point. And you learn that. You know, we did a process at the Vesa Collective, a mastermind, all these brilliant people. And one of them was we borrowed the forum process, which I originally heard from Tamara, a community called Tamara in Portugal, but I heard that it was actually started in Germany at another one, I can't remember. But the process is very simple. Everyone sits in circle.
Right.
You have 2 to 3 minutes. You get up, you say whatever you want, and everyone just holds space, witnesses you, gives you direct attention.
Yeah.
And when you're done, you sit down. And there's some other versions of that. But man, and you would think it would just be not that interesting, but like what comes out of people to be witnessed in that community. And I've noticed every time we do something like that in these retreats or et cetera, or in spaces, once you are witnessed by everyone, there's a feeling of belonging always follows. And it's like you drop your guard, your nervous system relaxes, and you're like, people see me, and guess what? They're not rejecting me. They love me even for something that it's hard to love myself for.
Yeah, that's true. That setting is important. And I understand there's like many frameworks and modalities. It's almost like an open source psychology models, you know. From my understanding, it's one of the most important thing is to use one of these ways to release the shame or any kind of limited beliefs that we might have is basically create a safe space in terms of to prepare people and to have this integration, because sometimes people react. They might have hidden this for all their lives. You know, and they might have nightmares and things. It's just, but when they release, it's like so cathartic. It's like, wow, it's like a huge thing. And I also discovered some of these other parts work that are related to that. And internal family system, my good friend Dick Schwartz is also creator of this IFS model that kind of talks about the parts of us, as we are like kind of collection of these many parts, that some of them take on certain role and we think we are them. So within the concept of the community of that support and love and care we got, when we fully open and we're fully vulnerable, some of those parts might soften.
Yeah.
But if we're not prepared for that, then these parts might, do something called
retreat, protect.
Yeah, and even protect even more, become, fire protectors, super protectors, and that's like a backlash. So we have to make sure that the community is safe within, and there's some norms. And once that's established, I think it's profound work. I've seen in our retreats people going from dwelling in the shadows and crying in despair and to just fully being creative.
Yeah.
It's like something that's like part of their soul came back. And I also seen a lot of wealthy people that I work with on these retreats and in the programs. They just start investing in different things, putting some more purpose into their companies. And I think that's where it's just starting to become interesting, right? That's where the community and the whole ecosystem can work together as kind of what many people call now a new earth, where we are a community of collaborators, not competitors, even if we're doing similar things. If someone's building a conscious village or a biohacking clinic, they might collaborate even more. So these type of things happen when we release those protectors, the parts that are, preventing us from embarrassing ourselves so we don't feel shamed again, right? These are all like good parts. They just don't know, the best way how to protect us. Like maybe our parents didn't know how to teach us some things, but they did their best they can. They know how. And we are, I feel like, here to relearn everything, reprogram everything. And the most beautiful way to do that, I believe, is in the community.
Yeah. The biggest mirrors, right? Your first largest mirror is your romantic partner, right?
Yeah.
And then second is your close friends and your community. And, and there's such a value when someone sees you and sees you for years and years, knows where you have those things that need work, can pat you on the back when you make some progress, and also just stay with you with love when you still need to work on them. And that feels really good. And, you've been doing these big transformational retreats for a long time now, right? One of the ones you're doing is called the WOW retreats. I'd like to hear a little bit about that. That sounds, when you sent me some info, it looked really interesting.
So WOW means wellness of the world. So one interesting person I met here in Canggu on one of my talks, she came to me as like, I'm doing this amazing, unique retreat. It's like, adventures there. It's like, why don't we join forces? Like, oh, well, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then we discovered all these really unique places that no one else knows, or they're like very hard to get to. We found a way how to get them for a better price and prepare a program. And these old places are just paradise on the earth. They're all sustainable, zero net, carbon free, organic, permaculture. Like all of those things are embedded in their core. And one of which is in Fiji, a beautiful private island in Fiji. Another one is called Red Sea Global Project. That's in Saudi Arabia. They just invested, I think, 5 trillion or something crazy like that to build 30 new resorts, and they built 3 so far. So we're doing one of the retreats there in space capsules like Maldives, but on Red Sea, and all these amazing places built into the rock in middle of the desert. So you can see like Burning Man vibes, but in high luxury.
Cool.
So these type of retreats is what we believe it's amazing because it produces this wow effect when you come. And then what we actually do there is quite deep. And we connect with, impact investors, with visionary leaders, with designers, with change makers, with movers and shakers. And I think that effect ripples out to their communities, to their portfolio companies, to many stages that they then preach and share that. And it's just those retreats, why I love them so much, because we create these genuine, deep connections. With some people, we become like lifelong friends on whole another level, and they're all around the world. And what I learn is I like to travel. That's how I learn. And if there's this particular place I like, then I stay. Like Bali is one of them, right? And then in all of these places, then especially through Startup Grind Network, we have a family around the world where we come in, or we want to bring a company there to scale it, or just organize an event or join a community. We can do that. And what I believe retreats are the great way to just escape our mundane life in big cities. Like I lived in London for 10 years, and it's this town never sleeps. It's your circadian rhythm is like constantly on and off, and people eventually burn out like I did. So that's why I discover retreats, because I burned out and I figure out I had to go to Americas and to these places to sit with many old wisdom people and to attend new types of retreats. So from that experience, I figure out that I can also bring people to that peace and that kind of harmony, living in a community that's a temporary, but it's also online, because we have online and offline communities. And I feel that this is a hybrid model right now where we are like hooked up on our devices all the time. So we're able to communicate still with these people around the world. I just love, and I'm looking so very much forward to the next retreat. So
when is it coming out?
They're coming up. More information is on supremefactory.net.
Yeah.
That's the website where we're listing those. One is coming up in October 2025 in the Red Sea, and then the Fiji is just following after. And I'm sure there will be some coming soon in Bali. We're talking with a lot of big brands who are very conscious, and they're always there to collaborate with us. So we're never doing this alone. It's always someone in a collaboration.
That's helping sponsor the people come in?
Sometimes there are scholarships, right? Sometimes we just bring co-facilitators, and it's an open canvas, so we can kind of co-create together. I believe that co-creation is amazing. Yeah, maybe you'll come one of the next ones and co-create some acro yoga and something.
I don't think I would do it. I would not be the right person to co-create acro yoga, but be happy to do some on the side. But that's what Vesa was. It was 100% co-created. Yes. And, it's interesting to me because there's a balance. The more co-created it is, the more messy it can be. And also the more incredible it can be. Like the magic happens, because instead of saying, okay, Prem, I'm going to have you do this exercise, this exercise, we're constantly saying, what does the collective need now? How do we best serve the collective at this moment? So we might have a structure, and then we're like, no, it doesn't feel right to do this thing. We need to do a foreign process, and we need to clear some stuff as a collective, or we need to do this tantric process, or we need to, we're feeling really creative in the business sense. Let's do a mastermind. And so it's like, and I'm learning that it's a good balance between structure and flow and co-creation and how to do that. It's much harder to do co-created events in many ways, because people are so used to 9 to 10, you do this, 10 to 11, you do this. So it can challenge our structure systems and make us feel a little like ungrounded. But when done right, and you can balance it. Yeah, I love that. I love that co-creation. So with the WOW retreats, I'm curious, what are some of the processes or transformational processes that you feel, or maybe an exercise that really every time it gets people to turn or to flip or to really see things in a very different light?
That's a very good question. And it also depends on the flow, right?
Yeah.
As you mentioned, as a DJ, you come with a playlist, but you actually never play that list, or you do similar things in the retreat setting. So we have specific programs that we believe that these specific sets of modalities are there each day to invoke certain multisensory experiences within the people. So they unlock things. So for example, we did a lot of study on how we can use breathwork or meditation for different things. Breathwork will bring you more more movement, more body movement. So we might do something else. Meditation will get you more creative. So when we have like a really advanced workshops, open space technology workshops, where we allow people to collaborate in different groups and settings, this is a framework that's very powerful. We might use modalities around that and eat specific food around that, do specific nature walks if we want to induce brain to be more in a flow state, more into kind of relaxed state. So all these kind of modalities are combined throughout the program of the retreats, usually 5 to 7 days. And then we figure out where we go from there. We might end up going with dancing, but in most cases, holotropic breathwork is quite an experience.
Tell people what that is in case they don't know what holotropic breathwork is.
So for those who don't know what holotropic breathwork is, there are a few ways how to reach like altered states of mind just through your breathing. And I believe that breath is our most superpower, right? Try not to breathe and see what's going to happen to you. But if we use breathing in a specific patterns, and these shamans of the old knew that for a while, there's like certain numbers of seconds you inhale, you hold and exhale. There's like tons of those different ones that's going to induce different states. But this specific one that we use hyperventilates our brain, and it really feels like we're getting like dizzy, or we see the light. When you stand up,
you get
all of a sudden, and you get like, oh, it's good. So you get in that state, and what we try to do then is to relax. Any cringes and whatever we're holding on, is we try our best to let go, because surrender in that moment is the greatest superpower. While in the West, surrender is the greatest weakness, in the East, surrender is the greatest superpower. So we get people to those states. They're not scary, but they're just feeling really expanded, and it's like it feels like you're gonna orgasm, right? And then you just let it go, and that moment of letting go allows us to see things from different perspective, not different perception, and that's like opens up the brain for so much more to share. It gets rid of social anxiety as well. For some people who are introverts, they might gain the energy, and also opens up some neural pathway that makes us solve problems much easier. Yeah, because we go out of our default mode network for a bit. That is very kind of, in a way, it shut our true potential down. So when we go into these states that are more dreamy, we get to see things from different perspective. And what Einstein said once was that you can only solve a problem not from the situation that the problem was created from, right? But from the situation out of that problem. So when we do just one of that holotropic breathwork sessions, that can be so profound that we can continue into creation mode. And I really believe that transformation is just one of the steps in the process of expansion. And many people just stay there in dwelling in the shadow. And I see a lot of my brothers and sisters, they have their own karmas, but for me, it's like what we try to do is, we go deep to transformation in order to start to create, innovate, and expand. And I feel that's what we can build a purpose here is through that innovation to create co-creation, right? To innovation that's going to impact human beings and everybody on this planet.
I really resonate with that. For me, one of the things that I love to do more than anything else is help entrepreneurs that maybe have sold a business and been very successful, have money, and they're like, and they just feel this still, they thought that big unicorn, that big exit, and that money is going to bring them that satisfaction because they've been working towards it their whole life. I love working with them and uncovering that soul purpose so that they can do work like you're talking about, impact work that they're like, oh my God, I can make money.
Right.
And look at what I'm doing. I'm helping people and, taking them through a process. And I love that you're doing that. And I also, I hear that in order for that transformation and that impact to happen, one, you need to break their patterns, right? You need to take them out of their environment of London, New York,
Right.
break their patterns. They need to be around inspiration. And then once they're broken their patterns, they're around inspiration, then you're using these tools to take them into transformation, which then opens the mind, creates neural pathways, and allows them to sort of reset some of these old patterns and, create new ones. You mentioned getting rid of limiting beliefs.
Right.
That's a big one, man. Like,
That's
so
a big
many of
one,
us
yeah.
hold so many of them, and even when you think you don't hold them, you still do, right? It's like a lot of layers of limiting beliefs, and
Good old onion layers. Huh?
yeah.
It's a lot of things to process, that's for sure. And you mentioned it beautifully. There's this neuroplasticity process that ones get to go through in order to release old patterns, then create ones. And for us, we are creatures of habits. The more we do something, the more it just become autonomous. So like our breath is autonomic, right? We not are all the time aware of how we breathe, but when we do, we practice that. When the meditation brings us to that awareness, it's really, really good. So for all these people, they might come to retreat and go back to their normal lives, and then it's like they forget. So for us, it's really important that we stay in touch and do this integration together, and it takes about 3 weeks minimum for a new habit to form in our mind. And I think it's fantastic, especially when we use some legal substances, for example. It's also possible to to induce the neuroplasticity and to change the patterns, the synapses that are wiring and firing together. Sometimes all our lives, right? So that's what we also like to share in these retreats. I like to share this with everybody. Like I have my morning routines, my kind of coffee. They're full of even without coffee, a cup of coffee, they're full of good things, good mushrooms, good fats, from healthy meals as well. Those things, healthy lifestyles and healthy environments, really supports us to transition into that new habit that we are forming. So it's absolutely fantastic to do that around the community that holds you accountable. And what I learned for some of these people that you mentioned that are kind of successful, they sold their second startup, third startup, they made money, but there's still something funky happening, right? So they discovered in London, there was a study first, how many people burn out and fail. 73% of most startup founders fail because of the burnout and mental health issues.
Say that one more time.
73% of startups, at least in the UK, fail from mental health issues and burnout. And there is now a lot of initiatives in venture capitalists. They're basically investing these monies into these companies to prevent that, to give them specific, to measure specific biomarkers, to provide them with specific support so they could perform better. And even when they do perform better, they did another study where most of these founders, as soon as they sell company, there's like a little bit of time to adjust to reality. I just made like 100 million or 200 million or whatever. And then it's just, depression hits really, really hard, because when we set these goals in our lives and we achieve them, and still nothing changes, there's still old patterns. Like it's most potentially coming from the father wound. Our father wanted us to be this, and we had to prove ourselves, right? So these successful founders are just grinding and grinding and grinding. They made it up, and then it's like, oh, I made it, but I'm still not like fully happy. It's not like it's not it, right? So they discovered that a lot of these founders don't know what to do. So I work with some of them successfully to understand more deeper purpose of what they can actually do. Because some of them start investing in good projects, but that's just another part called overachiever, right? Yeah. They overachieve things so they can numb their emotions in sense of what they really want to do, right? And some people will say like, oh, it's easy for you. You have like 200 million, like you can do anything. But sometimes we all have to go through these things, which I value the most. I don't value the money anymore that much. If I see someone successful, I value people with their deep peace and purpose in their lives, because you cannot buy that with money. No matter how much you get, we all get to go through that, what Buddha calls suffering process, right? And now the time is coming that it's less suffering. It can be with less suffering that we can come and reach that peace, and especially if we're doing it in conscious communities with people like yourself who have different programs, use different nutrition, and just kind of all around the ecosystem of these modalities. They're very supportive to make us feel free and safe and expressive.
I want to bring it back when you mentioned these ideas of rewiring your mind through habits or exercises that you're doing. I'm curious, what do you do in the mornings? What's your habits? Share with the world. Like, what are they that help you sort of stay focused or on track or rewire or breath work or whatever it is?
I believe that everybody is individual in terms of like what we require in order to thrive during the day. I have a specific things that works for me. Might not work for everybody, but for me, I like to wake up ideally at the same time if I'm okay, night before. And then just like hydrate a lot, drink a lot of water. I do this mineralizing drinks. Usually the first thing I do is get some Celtic sea salt and some lemon in the water. I also add like many different, biohacking things, MSM,
Say all of them.
many of those.
Say all of them. We want to hear all of them.
Yeah, but the first thing I do is like hydrate with a simple kind of mineralizing drink, Celtic salt, lemon, a lot of water. Then I like to do some breath work just to kind of open up. I do few stretches, few push-ups, just like a little to move the body going. And if I'm anywhere close to the sun, what I usually do in Uluwatu when I'm there, I just walk to the beach. And if I'm close to the cold plunge, I would do that first thing after my water and kind of shaking. I would just go and shock my body with a cold plunge, and these shock hormones just like activate a lot of things inside me. It's like a good fight or fight system. When your vagus nerve goes into kind of, it's a panic mode, but it's a good panic because your body's drawing from your fats all the good things, all the fuel for the day, right? So if I start day like that, then I would be very sharp and focused, and I would have what I call more intrinsic motivation to get on the day. And if I slept, depends how I sleep, because in terms of morning routine, I have to see where my circadian rhythm is previous day, how much did I sleep, and when did I wake up, because in the morning there's something called ultradian rhythms, and these are different waveforms than circadian. They're usually quite long. In the evening when we sleep, there might be a 90 minutes, and in the morning they're very short. And these short ones are the ones that I discovered when I kind of have intuition now. I put it down on a piece of paper, I can share it with you, but these are the ones where our energy, our motivation, our creativity are at the top, at their highest. And this is where I can get the work done. I can do something creative, organize, create a presentation, do some calls, really go out and grind, right? But I'll be more productive if I do it then, right? And especially living in Bali and working with some different time zones, it might be disruptive, right? But if I start a day like that and I notice where my energy levels are high, my motivation, my creativity, then I can really get the shit done very well. And then I go into these like little off moments where I just kind of go back into parasympathetic system. My nervous system goes into parasympathetic, from that sympathetic. So it's, for me, it's all about like how the ocean of the waves goes. This is how I feel. Like whenever I feel I'm gonna have a nap. That's one of the things in blue zones that people like to do, siestas, right?
Love it.
So yeah, if I start energetic mornings, I might go through those balances. Like I should go to gym, but I don't feel good, you know. So when I do that, when I go to gym, when I feel like a bit low, that's where my biggest workouts are. That's where I feel my muscles are good. I feel energized, because it's all limiting beliefs that gets me to that. But that's the first thing I do in the morning. And I forgot to mention, I never check the phone in the morning. It really takes me somewhere else. Takes me to my dopamine addiction of just randomly scrolling things, right? And working. And like, I really want to do this self-care and self-love. I feel if anybody watching this could do more for their self-care and self-love early in the morning, then the whole day will reflect like that. It's just, and my greatest mantra is I just say, I stand in grace and gratitude. I receive guidance and direction for this day to move forward effortlessly. Just repeat that, and kind of things are just in the flow, as you say. I just co-create with life instead of just controlling it. I get to witness life being co-created with me. So those are some of the things that actually make my day really, really good. So yeah, hopefully that will be helpful for somebody else. But yeah, I can definitely share some more. I have on my social media, I sometimes share these routines. You can follow me on I am Prem Sangeet. That's a shameless plug from me.
I think it works. Let's do it.
But yeah, you can check it
Prem
out.
Sangeet.
Good. So those are my. How about yours? What's your kind of favorite morning routine to go on?
I have one that's just developed, and I keep adding things onto it. It's getting a bit ridiculous at this point, but so I wake up. I generally I'll either take a shower or not. I try to do I call it my daily mantra or my daily alignment. So I've written something specifically for myself, and I keep adding to it and subtracting to it over the last, probably 10 years. Wow. And it starts with, today is a new chapter of my life. And it says, I am reprogramming my mind to access the quantum field, to resonate with precision and best serve the universe. So I'm trying to tune in and to feel like, what does the universe want? Whatever we're in, I want to try to ask, what do you want from me today? What do you want me to do? Instead of going to my Trello list and my Notion list, which I have a ton of them. I have a ton of them for all my other co-conspirators and employees. Then it goes through and it has gratitude practice where I find something I'm grateful for, 3 things I'm grateful for the day before. I ask the question, what would make today awesome? And it might be like, someone is going to tell me that they have an amazing community that I can just plug into, bring a few of my people, and I don't have to raise money, and I'm going to love them all, and they're going to love me. That would be something that would make my day great. Or the woman of my dreams is going to walk in the door, and or whatever it is, and try to tune into the feeling of what that's like to have that. And then it goes through, I have a lot of I am statements, and one thing I've learned, and I truly believe, is that we can reprogram our minds because our minds don't know the difference between what is real and what is not real. So it starts with things like, I am joyous. And then I try to tune into the feeling of being joyous. If I can't quite get there, I might say, I am happy. And then I'll try to tune into happy. And then if I can tune into happy, then I try to tune back into joyous. And I can't always get there in the morning. And then it's like, I am healthy, and I try to feel the health. And then it's, I am at peace, I have purpose, I am positive. And it goes through a bunch of these. I am wealthy, I am wisdom, I am a warrior. So when I need to pull out the feeling of warrior, it's available. And then it goes on to a bunch of other things. And it takes about 10, 15 minutes. And right before I do that, I do 15 breaths of fire. The Kundalini. I try to do 200 of those. Hopefully it's helping my abs.
Wow.
Yeah. And, then I do my NMN and resveratrol with a live probiotic. And then I make myself, I call it a longevity shake. That's got a ton of stuff in it. It's got
okay, let's geek out.
Okay, geek out. Okay. So let me just try to remember everything. I'm looking over here. It's got protein powder, collagen, turmeric, black pepper, mangosteen powder, moringa powder, a bunch of maca powder.
Maca is good.
It has extra virgin olive oil, which I hear is
Very
really
good
great.
with fat, yeah.
Good fat. So I put a bunch of that in there. It has beetroot powder.
Amazing for the energy. I think beetroot's going to be a thing of this year, especially in London. They're doing a lot of discoveries that beetroot alone can give you so much excess energy to go to gym, to lift things. It's amazing.
I put a little creatine in there.
Creatine, wow, very good for the brain as well. Oh, I love creatine.
And then ashwagandha powder,
Nice.
and then a couple other like little mushroomy powders in there. So and that's how it's to be honest. Oh, I put a little bit of like frozen banana and a couple berries because it kind of tastes like shit otherwise. It's like
blueberries are fantastic.
I'll get some frozen blueberries. Better than the banana or what?
Oh yeah, I mean banana is cool. It
Gives it like a better.
Yeah, when you blend banana, what it does, it loses the fiber and it converts more into sugar, you know? So you get like a little bit of more glucose spike. But with blueberries, especially frozen one, they're like super good antioxidant. They're like probably one of the best fruits we can eat.
So you think I should ditch the banana and just go with frozen blueberry?
Yeah, it's good to have a little bit of banana as long as it's not like a kilo of banana, right?
It's just a little. It's just like the thing tastes so bad. I put cacao powder in there to kind of.
Cacao is good fat.
To try to like make it taste a little better, get some fats, and and then I have 32 supplements that I do, and I try to break them into like 3 days because taking 32 is kind of a lot for me. It's like
you're next level, man, with your routine. You're like Brian Johnson on steroids.
No, Brian Johnson's at another level. But I will tell you something about Brian Johnson that I bet you he'll figure out if he hasn't figured it out already. Is one of the biggest keys to longevity is not all the blood transfusion. It is joy.
Joy,
it
exactly.
is peace. And I don't know him. If I have a conversation with him, I would say, brother, how much joy and playfulness do you have in your life? And if he doesn't have a lot, my instinct is, because, you've been to Burning Man, right? It's like, have you been or no? I feel like you have.
I should have been, but
I'm taking you.
I did. Thank you. I did 1 year that I organized a virtual stage during the COVID there. Okay. But all my friends are going. I've never been so far, and I'm gonna go.
It's interesting because a lot of the people that are going to Burning Man, they're abusing the shit out of their bodies. Let's be honest, and they look so young, and it's like, how is that possible? Why don't you look like an old woman, old man? When you're not really taking care of yourself so well.
Compensates, yeah. The happiness, the joy, just in the living in the present moment compensates for all the things. The relationship with that is different.
I wish we could measure that. Let's look up a study and figure out.
They did actually. They did study in blue zones where they measure people who are like drinking wine or sometimes even smoking tobacco. Nicotine is an interesting substance. Nicotine is very good actually for the body, but depends how you take it. And they discovered that there were these couples, they were drinking wine every single night at the same time after the dinner. Not too much, but the point of ritual was the source of their joy within it. So, and they consumed it with so much pleasure and joy. When you were saying like, I am, whatever you say, what I am is probably gonna feed all your body. And they were just saying like, I'm enjoying this, I'm enjoying this.
I'm so happy, have a glass of wine with your love, cheers.
So they did drink alcohol. Yeah. They do drink alcohol actually, but they do it differently. And you from the other side, they also did a study on the obese people when they were in similar time zones and they were eating a lot, but their relationship to food was love. They were thinking that they're eating love. That's why they were obese. And they have to say like, food is not love, food is not love. And then they would eat it, right? So the relationship they had with that glass of wine was ritual, was joy. So whatever they put in, probably like in Burning Man, they just have this intention is how they take it and why they take it. And I think on the other side of the coin, there's this thing, called success paradox. in order to reach that success, you have to grind and burn out, and then you spend a lot of money to heal from that burnout, right? If you're not happy, you find something else, right? But this is the other way around, which I think it's good to learn from them, is that we can also do some things that are okay. And if we take it with joy, it's going to be different. Like, imagine Brian Johnson taking all his supplements while smiling, right? Yeah. I sometimes wake up in the morning, I just smile to myself, or do laughing yoga, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, when you feel like grips, and it's just like hilarious. It's hilarious, especially when you do it with a group. It's just...
But I don't know if I've ever done that. I've done that when the ones where you put your head on the belly of the person in a circle, and then someone starts laughing, and you're just not laughing. It's like, that one's pretty funny.
It's quite contagious. Yeah. Quite contagious how we can share the laughter and joy with other people when we're in a community. So that's why I'm so curious to go to Burning Man to experience that. But I've seen a lot of people here as well in Bali, from a lot of burners in London as well that I met, and it's something that we can definitely bring in our communities, in our villages, and things.
Creativity and joy.
Yeah.
So one of my biggest shames has been nicotine addiction. I took my first cigarette. I was a skateboarder. I remember even where it was. It was behind. And for me, when I look back on it, it was some way that I knew I wasn't supposed to do it. I know it wasn't good for me. I took this cigarette and I got so high and dizzy and I felt sick, and I just kept doing it this whole time. And I've tried quitting, and I would come back, and many times when I went off of nicotine, I found myself supplementing it with something else: sugars, drugs, alcohol, women, just like. And I realize a big part of who I am is what they call neurodivergence, which means my D1, D2 receptors, ADHD, whatever you want to call it, autism spectrum. I'm not that far on it, but it's something I've dealt with my whole life. And interestingly enough, the nicotine gives those receptors the hits that keeps me from depression, helps me focus. And I've tried to quit so many times, and I'm just like, it's a failure. I feel it's literally the one thing that feels really out of alignment with my life. And what I'm finding is that nicotine, like you said, might not be that bad if it's without all these chemicals and tars and other stuff. So you mentioned this. I'm curious, what do you know?
Well, thank you, first of all, for sharing that. It's very vulnerable and open to share that from you. I think addictions, whether that's nicotine and other ones, they all come from numbing that emotions where we get to focus one day. You know, there's no way around it. Well, one day or sooner or later we have to face that thing. And but also nicotine gives interesting feeling, as you said, like you can focus, you can be less distracted if you are suffering from ADHD. I suffer from dyslexia sometimes, but I see it as a superpower. Some people see it like, oh, if you try to read a piece of paper, you probably read it a bit slower, but you're still going to read it. But for me, I can focus on so many different things at the same time because of that superpower. So if we start to shift that mindset, like ADHD is actually a superpower, it's not your distractions or not being able to focus, which is good to practice a meditation for, but it's also a power to focus on multiple things at once, or to switch between them. But nicotine, what does to me is super powerful. And there are more and more studies that show that nicotine prevents a lot of inflammations, a lot of chronic diseases as well. The most popular study they did was during the COVID, actually. They just realized, releasing this, it's that something like 78% of the people that use nicotine cured or didn't have the COVID, or have like mild consequences from the COVID alone. And these are like, major milestones they've discovered. And then it's great for the brain. It's a great neurotransmitter, actually. that supports the whole brain chemistry. That's why you feel more focused. The thing with how we consume cigarettes, for example, with tar and all the other additives, it actually makes you more addictive, and it's healthy, not healthy for your lungs. So there are many other ways you can consume nicotine, from the chewing things. They also have like the supplements now. My favorite way of consuming nicotine is through rape that I get from Brazil or somewhere from South America, and it's a very sacred thing. It comes from the black organic tobacco mixed with other herbs in a very ceremonial way. And it's a tobacco sniff, basically, what other people would see it in the society.
You put it up your nose,
blow up, and then you get this hit of like all the parts. What nicotine does for me, there all these parts that are either protective or managing or whatever they do, or addiction parts, anger parts, inner critic parts, all those parts, good and bad parts, they're all good parts actually, but they all kind of soften. And so I'm able to focus more because I'm not distracted or limited by these limiting beliefs or these parts.
How often do you do rape? Do you do it once a day, multiple times in a day?
Yeah, it's a part of the retreat, right? Yeah. It's a ritual. As those guys in the blue zone that drink sometimes wine, I do it with the nicotine, and I try also to do breaks. Like with all the supplements, I tend to do like after 3 months, it's important to do like a short break. Just kind of reset, and then we go back into it. It's just our bodies, sometimes even with creatine, it's important to do these things. Otherwise, it can get damaging, right? But it's just like, it's really up to us. I'm learning to develop this sense of intuition more and more, so I can kind of feel when I get to do it. And if you believe in, human design and gene keys and all that jazz, some of us, I'm a projector in human design. So, and you might be something else. So for me, I actually really require to flush out some of these things. Yeah, if I go into busy meetings and I have a lot of things to do, I get to ventilate a bit, to open up and do something. So rape or using nicotine like that is, it's my way. And this doesn't mean that I'm promoting any substances use or anything else. This is a legal substance, doesn't contain anything else but tobacco and some
like natural ashes. Herbs,
yeah.
Rape is intense. It can be. When you do it, sometimes your head will throb, and it's like your eyes will water, and sometimes, then you get focused. You're just like, and it's grounding. People use it for grounding.
Yeah,
I've done it many times. It's interesting. Do you get styes often in the infections on your inner eye, or no?
No, but I feel like what I like to do is to clear out. I use, and you can get it anywhere in apothec, in pharmacies. These natural, fully natural spray like with the seawater. Some of these are super salty, super condensed seawater, which I spray, and then it kind of cleans it out. Because sometimes when we blow really hard our nose,
it can break blood vessels.
Yeah, exactly, and then the sinuses get in. So all of our things we have to, take care of. There's a lot of dust when you walk out in the street, a lot of air pollution as well. So all these things sometimes, they get stuck. And hape does help clear those out too. So it's interesting that this is not a medical advice or anything else.
Disclaimer, Prem Sangeet does not condone the use of any tobacco products.
Yeah, please get in touch with your doctor.
I would love to find a way that was, and I actually went and I started doing a little research in the stores and just asked, is there a way just to get nicotine with something healthy? Nothing else, just nicotine in type of vaporizer form, because it's actually all these flavors and things like this sort. And, I'm actually at a point where I don't know if quitting nicotine is actually more or less beneficial for me. When I'm off nicotine, man, I'm a bit, even when I went 3 to 9 months off of it, one, I keep coming back to it for some reason. And two, I question if this ADHD, there's a theory with ADHD that it's can be changed, right? You can rewire your brain. It's all from a trauma, most likely a childhood trauma. And this condition of ADHD is actually rooted in some trauma that is before you're conscious, maybe after you're unconscious as a child. It's an interesting theory. It may or may not be true. And I noticed that my brain absolutely works differently than other people's brains in a bell curve, right? And I'm also noticing my favorite people in this world tend to be neurodivergent or somewhere on the spectrum. They tend to be really brilliant. They tend to say exactly what they feel and say. And I don't know why, but man, I just trust that. And I love that. So it's like, I'm wondering even, and I find that things like nicotine in particular can help me from when I get this depletion of dopamine, you know, because that's what ADHD is, right? It's hard to get the amount of dopamine from the same event. So if a bell-curved, normal, quote-unquote person, you know, sees a sunset, maybe they get X amount of dopamine. And then someone with ADHD, they might need to see a sunset while they're dancing and laughing to get the same amount of dopamine, right? So it's a struggle to try to get the stimulation. This is why it's been hard for me when I was living in Ubud. I was having a hard time getting the mental stimulation. I was getting great movement, ecstatic dance, body, somatic movement was amazing up there, but I couldn't have a conversation like this to save my life. And my brain was just, and then when it doesn't get the stimulation, it starts to get depressed. When it starts to get depressed, it's hard for me to get up and do things and feel motivated. And maybe it is from a trauma, or maybe it's just the way I was born. You know, I look at my grandfather, he's definitely on the spectrum. He's got OCD up the wazoo, very insensitive. My mother has crazy anxiety. And it really kicked in for me when I saw my nieces and nephews. And, you know, one of my nieces, beautiful young lady, when she was just, you know, a very, very young child, she had so much anxiety, she didn't want to leave the house for months, like agoraphobic. And I know my sister and her husband, they're amazing people. There was no trauma there. Maybe that trauma is a generational, genetic trauma that's getting passed from generation to generation.
Right.
So I actually suspect that, yes, it's more of a genetic way of the wiring of the brain. And yes, there's absolutely ways for someone that has ADHD to help manage that. For me, meditation absolutely works.
That works great.
2, moving my body, trying to do something active at the gym and exhausting myself and like getting into my body, whatever that is. If I'm, you know, for a while I was skateboarding on half pipes. That was great stimulation. Now, you know, I'm going to the gym and acro and HIIT trainings and Pilates and, you know, yoga. Yoga also is a great way. But the truth is, even when I'm doing a ton of that, it's still there. It helps, that condition. So if there's anyone out there that's struggling with these things, and there's some other things. Some people say that microdosing on mushrooms can really help rewire that. You know, we don't condone anything that is illegal, but there are studies that are very strong that can help people. So it's like, how do you take this holistic approach and be healthy, not eat fatty foods? That really affects my depression. If I eat like shit, don't take care of myself. When I'm doing my regimens, working out, all this stuff, and still the nicotine, when I hit that, I hit a little nicotine here and there, I'm like back. I'm just like, oh, great, I'm back. You know, and that could be addiction. And it also, you know, when I went long periods of time, that feeling of something's missing, I need something more. I need more stimulation.
Right.
It's not sugar. It's not drugs. It's like there's just something in the D1, D2 receptors, if I understand it correctly. A neuroscientist that knows more than me can tell a little bit more about it. But that's my understanding. And I feel it, man. I feel it. So I've stopped shaming myself for it.
It's so important that you stop shaming yourself. And yeah, as you say, there's so many possibilities, so many reasons why we feel how we feel. And you said there's an epigenetics that maybe comes from your family, runs in the blood, this generational trauma, this society trauma. There's so many things, but we are also not there has to be a precursor to that for epigenetics to kick in. Like there has to be like a lot of cortisol, a lot of stress, a lot of living not in the present moment in order to activate those, right? And I feel when we are age of 2 to 9, this is where our brain is plausible, where we as kids, we learn, we are sponges when we're kids, and we set to become adults, whatever we get programmed. But the good news is, it's like any computer software, you can reprogram it. Sometimes it requires a full reset, right? Sometimes it requires more to be defragmentation. And I see like defragmentation of hard drive and those synapses that are like imprinted in our brain waves. It's just constantly running and running. And as I mentioned, we're creatures of habit. So we can tend to do things that are supporting. So you mentioned meditation, you mentioned yoga, you mentioned working out. All common red threads throughout those are being present, right? Meditation is like being present.
That's just presence.
Yeah. So when we are here now, it's internal. Nothing else exists, right? But when we worry about the past, then we get, or we are worried about the future, we get anxiety. Worry about the past, it's a depression or like some other not elevated emotion. It's mostly the emotion that's gonna trigger inflammation or deprivation of the neurotransmitters like dopamine, as you said, or serotonin, which is even stronger. So all our reactions then and actions are like, let's scroll, let's smoke, let's do something that's gonna, give us some more those neurotransmitters. So we feel like we're on that baseline that we believe society is like that. And what I feel like even for people who face that trauma, who rewire their brains, if they go back to their an original environment that they grew up in, it kind of starts to come back. And it's in Toltec tradition in Mexico, they call this mitote, which is kind of, there is a fine layer of society dream, what other people think you are, or what you think other people think you are, right? And then what you actually are, which is just when we are in that present moment, when we are like meditating, doing yoga or gym, or where you have like a good hit of nicotine, right? And you just feel like you're here and present and you can do everything. So I feel if we would meditate all the time, it would be all fine, but we cannot do that. So finding the balance in between being grounded and then also having that expansion in our mind, it's like being in a present moment is so important. And it's like, sometimes it feels like life is a challenging lesson for me too, right? It's constantly learning something new. And I just learned to find a way how to see it as a gratitude. It's like, there's also lessons for me to learn. And it's most likely that I'm going to feel better after I feel bad about something, right? So I see this as waves, and I constantly doing that, and I never give up. And that's how I try to learn to be a better human being, to be more led by a heart than a mind. And it's really challenging for some people as well to face that fear, or whatever that fear is. And sometimes we have no idea what it is, because our protectors did such a good job to hide that from us, because it was such a painful moment when we were young, or even we carry it, as you mentioned, from previous generation or lifetimes, if you believe that. So we can kind of be present with that. And I feel when we can then change the relationship to that experience. And there's this guy, Gabor Mate, I did one retreat with him, and he said about the trauma is not what happened to us. Trauma is how we experience that. And then I see this pattern in Andean cosmology, in like native people, especially in South America. What they do is they journey into the time, they go into the past. So they time travel, even though past doesn't exist, right? They time travel to those experiences and they recreate them. They take some of these parts back to here, and then they feel like so happy and so generous. It's just like what I call like a feeling of full freedom, of not having a mind that's constantly stopping us. And what I learned from them, that there is always a way. And once I realized that there is always a way to out of any situation, I just had this deep peace in myself that I can go through that. I can face that that fear or challenge with kind of full intention that I can do that, right? And then it feels not that scary anymore. It feels actually really liberating to do that. So there are two pains. One is pain of prolonging that, or pain of like facing that, being really authentic, being really who we are meant to be. So those pains are usually two that we have to take. That's why Buddha said like the way to go through enlightenment is through suffering. And I think the suffering doesn't have to be that bad. You know, you can really go with that set and settings. You just go for it, right? And there's always a way. And what I always discover is there's like so much joy in it, and this expansion, is this soft gratitude of that we're always taken care of. And yes, I love to use nicotine sometimes on top of that, and because it expands even more. And I just love it. I just love it. And I like to work with people as well who want to do that. And it's the greatest joy to receive that from when you witness other people do go through those transformations, and then they create and we co-create. That's it. That's my purpose of life. If there's no meaning, I think there's no meaning to life, but the meaning is what we create out of this. And for me, that's the meaning. That's what gives me the joy, and so much joy, more than the money can buy. So I love your shares about the nicotine story or whatever works for you. And I think, whoever's listening, if you find your medicine and then you use it, not to abuse it, just respectfully, is that relationship with that medicine that we have. Like I use hape, or other things. It's how we use it. Or those centenarians drink wine every day, yeah? It doesn't have to be bad as long as we have the relationship with that and that respect. And you're not taking some poison. Yeah.
I mean, gratitude is something, especially when it comes to manifestation practices. And I've been reading a lot on manifestation practices. I actually read a book, I just read it again. It was called Asking That You Will Be Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And what I found interesting about it was, one, they talk about the 22 emotional scales and how you can't go too far up a scale at once. You can only really, whatever emotional state you are, you can change it.
Right.
But you have to move through them all to get to the higher ones or the lower ones. So how do you try to say like, oh, I don't feel good. What's a better way I can feel? And then you go a little bit. You don't go straight to, I am the most joyous, happiest, because it becomes inauthentic. So you have to go through those scales. And one of the things they talk about a lot is you need to feel the feelings first to be able to move them and process them. And then you want to start moving into higher vibrational states. And, we're not talking about woo-woo spiritual things. It's very simple, right? We all have feelings. Human beings are actually quite simple with their emotions. We don't have that many of them. We think we're so complicated. Every person is so different. And go look on the radio, how many, listen to all the songs on the radio. It's all about the same stuff, right? And we relate to it. Why? Because we only have a very, very limited amount of emotions. I'd be curious what other animals, if for example, if the humpback whales, the blue whales, actually have a larger range of emotions with larger
spectrum.
Yeah.
Right.
I suspect and I'm curious about octopus, since their nervous system, I suspect that they're more conscious than we are.
Or dolphins. Dolphins are very special.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So I'd be curious if they have a larger range of emotions or not. I mean, it's hard to measure that because we can't measure out anything outside of our knowledge.
Within our spectrum, right? Right. Yeah, but the gratitude that you said, is one of the best elevated emotions. What Joe Dispenza say, and it's scientifically proven. It just works. I mean, I do your three what you're grateful for journals in every evening.
You do?
Yeah, that's how I go into sleep, because when you go into sleep like that, your mind loops that same brainwave, same pattern until you wake up. So they did a study where they sang mantras, they chanted mantras before they go to sleep. They woke up, they were still chanting mantras. Because autonomically your body goes into this process, your brain does whatever it does during the dream, which is whole another universe I'm super passionate about. But these are kind of amazing things to go on. What you said, I love when it comes to the spectrum. Like I see it actually as a pendulum, So the more we go into the shadow, into the dark, the more we can bounce back into the joy and happiness. If you go back into the joy so much, all these parts, they're holding us from experiencing that because we got hurt or something happened to us, they're gonna bounce back and it's gonna be really hard here. So that pendulum of life is really interesting to go, how we go into our depths, into shadow or whatever there is, then we can bounce back all the way back. And it's like what you said, there's like 22 levels or how many.
This is what they use as a scale, and they have it. You can download or chat GPT it. But I find that really interesting. But gratitude is something they use for manifestation where you just look around and you say, well, let's just go over this practice. So you start, and if maybe your vibration's not that low, your emotional state's not that low, an easy way to raise it is they call it like gratitude bombs or, a gratitude practice. So you just look around and be like, what can I be grateful for? Oh, you know what? This conversation is amazing and I love talking to Prem right now. Okay, I'm grateful for that. And then you bring it, and that might be high level, and it's like, actually, this tea is really nice. It's a ginger, Oshia ginger citrus. I'm grateful to have this tea. And wow, look at this nice podcast setup, and I have the money to buy this, and the air conditioner's on. I'm really grateful. So you just keep going, and you can do this in the post office. Be grateful. Wow, I'm glad I have some time to meet this person in front of me. I'm really grateful that they smiled at me. And you start this gratitude practice, and that will always raise your vibration.
And will attract more of the similar things, right? This is a concept of manifestation where we radiate in certain things and then we attract certain things like but for some people who are in a worry, in anxiety, it's hard for them to go switch into that mode. Because there's these negative loops that just go on and on. It's harder, but I think it's so instant, isn't it? When you share that, like, what am I grateful for? It's just like instantly, just like that joy, that sense of gratitude just expands more. Wow, I love it. I love it. I do this every day, man. Thank you for bringing it up. It's like, how much more can I receive? I love this concept about, that you mentioned that's what you attract, right? If you're in that gratitude, you attract it. And it's like, that's for everything. One of the manifestation practices, if I want to feel like I have a lot of money, if I want a lot of money, or let's say, I want a beautiful home, you actually stop and you picture yourself in the home that you want. So I can picture, I want a beautiful community. So I picture myself, how do I feel in that community? And you feel it as if you already have it. And it's because now I'm sending out a signal into the universe of what that community feels like, the type of people that are around. And it's like the universe is like a radio station, right? It's like a receiver and an FM radio. If you're not tuned to the right frequency, how are you going to pick up the information? So I need to tune into that, and then it helps. And the universe just says yes. And then you just wait. And someone said, if you're not expecting it, you are blocking it. You're not in that resonance. So if you're just like, I want live in this beautiful community with this great longevity center and health and TEDx talks and podcasts, and if I don't believe I can get it, then it actually blocks that signal, right? So, and sometimes also what I learn, people come, especially to the retreats and ceremonies, and with specific thing in their mind, what abundance is, for example. And for some people, it will manifest in a different ways. It might not be like $1 million in cash. It might be like a beautiful, free villa in Bali that you can do, or something like this. Just life flows at you. So abundance is all sorts of things. And for some reason, we're receiving those for our benefit so we can grow and learn more, I think. And I love how you really embody the source of it, right? You're living in that community. How does it feel to have that money, to feel that? So when we embody it, we just kind of hold it in. And it's, for me, it's called psychosomatic health. Because if we worry and we get shame, and we have cortisol and inflammation, we can do the same way to manifest, to really be grateful, really visualize these techniques that we can imagine and feel like what it's like to have all of that, right? And we just then attract as magnets, whatever you say, we're receivers, transmitters, and we're just like going in and out. And it's quite woo-woo. I think it's still not proven scientifically. And when I speak about these things, it's just, it happens. My whole life is like that, man. Whole life. Been traveling and meeting amazing people like you, like for over 30 years I've been doing that. And I'm still feel young and grateful for every moment of it. It's just, it's amazing fabric of universe. When you want to do it, it becomes a playground, really.
Have you worked with the Jose Silva mind control system? Do you know this guy at all?
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
heard.
you should look this up. I've read a couple of his books. I wanted to take the course, but it's always in some very difficult time zone in the U.S. A lot of all the Mind Valley manifestation techniques I think they just ripped off him, to be honest with you, because I think it was back in the 70s. And
must be fantastic, yeah.
And he's got this system, which is basically what we're talking about, where you actually go through and you picture the thing that you want, the thing that you want to manifest, right? And then you feel it, and then you picture it, and then you kind of swipe through these scenes. And it's very meditative, and you count backwards and so on. It's a bit, to me, I think it's a bit of like hypnosis. It's a lot of Joe Dispenza mixed with, excuse me. I believe that a lot of these guys are kind of taking from him. He was a bit of an OG in this, but check it out. You might be interested. I couldn't quite get his methodology. I realize I have a hard time with like actual visualization with my mind, with my eyes closed. I don't know if like auditory works really well for me. Like I actually don't even read books with my eyes anymore. I listen to a shit ton of audiobooks, and I go through them at 2x speed, sometimes at 3x. My brain is just like,
me too, yeah. I have the auditory, and auditory is much faster than the other ones. You get the sound is amazing. That's what my name means. The sound. Sangeet means the sound. Yeah, the sounds of God. So it's very important to figure out what your sense is, make sense and focus on that. It can be just guided things like, shamanic journeys have a lot of these beautiful guided things that you can visualize. Or there's like different plants, legal plants that you can use, like Margot, Blue Lotus. These are all like you can get in a local, tea shop or organic food store. Those are all enhancers of visual things. So I used to have a lot of clients that come to me and it's like, come to Supreme Factory, which is our venture studio, and they tell me it's like, I want to make like 10 million in 5 years, and I want to have this many people, and I want to have this boat and this house and this and that. I was like, okay, I wrote it all down. Let's now take 10 minutes to visualize things. And then we really go in. I design a special music and binaural beats and biophilia to get people into that state, right? We do some breath works. Then I ask them to visualize things without any limits. Where would their life be in 5 years? Where would their business be? What would they have? No limits whatsoever, right? And then they draw it on a piece of paper, because art is a language. Sometimes we cannot express with words what we want or what we. So they draw it and then they explain it to me. And then we take the reverse engineering. And this practice is like, okay, now 3 years from now, where are you at from these things? Where are you a year from now, right? So what's your next step? And then I pull out the first piece of paper, but they came to me first time. It's like, I want this and that, and yacht and a house and 10 million and blah. So which one do you want? You want this or this, what you just don't? It's like, this is what I want. So sometimes people actually don't know what they want. And I think that's the thing why they're not manifesting and that's what I'm also trying to figuring out every single moment. It's like,
do I actually want this, or is it a mimetic desire?
yeah,
Programmed from the movies, from the capital
Exactly.
system. I mean, this is how people make money. Most things in the West is sold through fear. Period. If you don't have this skincare, people aren't gonna want to have sex with you. If you don't have this car, the girls are not gonna want to have sex with you. If you don't have this job with the money, then no one's gonna have. It's like it's literally
It's a neuromarketing.
It's and that shit works. It's like, oh, wait a second. If I don't have that, if I don't have an iPhone watch, people are going to think I'm poor, whatever it is, right? So, and I think this is very important. And when I do a lot of work with people in uncovering their purpose,
Beautiful.
we do opportunity parameters, which is like, what do you want your life to be like? I want to live in a warm place. I don't want to have to experience winter if I don't want to. I want to be surrounded with people that are, inspiring to me, that have good communication and etc. Right? So we get to some parameters, and then we do the same thing. I take them. I have actually a life design meditation. If anyone watching, you can download this on my YouTube. It's about 20 minutes, and it takes you into that alpha wave brain state that helps you visualize. And it's we use different techniques to get you into that alpha wave brain state, because when you're in there, that's when it actually starts working, and you come back out. And a lot of the times, what people want are not what they thought that they wanted. And it's like, the reason you're not getting all those things is because you actually don't need them or want them. Maybe that sports car you don't really need. You don't actually want it. It's somehow, it's a mimetic desire, right?
It is, and it's oftentimes changes, because the nature of transcendence is that we expand and grow. We desire other things. Sometimes we want to sell a tech startup for 200 million, and when we do, it's like, it's not that, wasn't that, or someone wants like $1 million, but it's like, what do you want to do with the $1 million? Like, I want to buy a house. So where and what you're going to do in that house? Well, I want to have like a community and stuff. You don't want $1 million, you want a community.
Yeah, different. What if you get it for free?
It's completely different, right? Yeah. So that's what they want. And I think for me, it's like, it's always transcending and finding the way what I want each moment, what I desire. Right? Not one, but what I desire. And then that feeling that you share, like, okay, I'm constantly embodying it and then constantly attracting and magnetizing it. And it just becomes more fun. The life becomes more fun to play with, right?
Yeah. I remember we were in this these entrepreneurs things with Virginia from Humans I Trust. And she gave us a little task. We're in a little group, and it was a little fun thing. And then she gave us a paper clip, and she says, okay, you guys are going to take this paperclip and bring back the most valuable thing you can by trading that paperclip for other things, right? And when we came back, we had traded that paperclip. Well, first we were like, what are we going to do? And it was kind of hard because we were kind of playing with it, and we were in the market trying to trade it for things. And we traded it for a little bit of a postcard, and then able to trade that for a couple other things, and then we ended up with a blanket that was kind of hand crocheted. Oh, cool. And then we were sitting down, and I said, "What does this blanket want to get traded for? What is the story?" And it was like, for me, blankets represent warmth, right? And it hit me, and it was like, what we should be doing is, there's a organization called PKP, and they take women that have been abused with their children, and they get them out, help them start new lives. Beautiful women, And I was like, what if we can trade this what it feels like to me is this should go and support a woman.
Yeah.
And there's a saying that I like to say, which is, money flows when it knows, right? And this is what you're saying. What do you want the money for? And then when we did that, all of a sudden, we're like, okay, we need to raise, I forget what it was, $600. If that could take two women, no, it was $300 US, could take a woman for 1 month, get her out of that scenario, get her in a home, fed with her kid. It was like, that's what I want this to be. So we got that blanket, and we said, hey, would you like to trade this blanket for $300? We talked to some people. This is what it's going to do. You can give this blanket and tell someone what it represents, that it represents. As soon as the money knew, then it flowed. And then we took it back. So
worked the paperclip into $300 for that beautiful purpose, right?
No. Then I took it back. We said, we go to present to the rest of the group. And I said, and this is what we did. And does anyone want to match this and put in another $300 to take another woman out? And someone said yes. So we took the paperclip into $600, because money flows when it knows. So anyone that's listening, a big part of wealth is knowing, what do you want to do with it? If you want to just have money to buy stupid shit on Amazon every day, I had that addiction. I loved Amazon Prime. Santa Claus was showing up every day. But it's like, when it's like, I want to raise $8 million for this wedding resort venue, and here's why. I want some of my friends to have a flywheel to generate income, right? It flows so easy.
Yeah, but your energy and your idea was what real wealth is there. And my good friend and business partner, Andrew Salonian, he said that once there's something called radiant prosperity. That's like the real wealth, and what like billionaires are teaching their kids is not like how to accumulate money. It's how to have these skills in life that we can always make not only money but other things. And that's that radiant prosperity that you have. Like you turned that paper clip into $600 because there was a purpose for it that touched everybody's heart, right? Yeah. And it's really, really supported that woman who was abused.
Two of them.
Yeah. So that's what I call radiant prosperity. I think for me, that's a true sense of wealth. And that's the best investment that we can do. Is like investing in ourselves and in others like that. And then it's like so much easier to actually make the money and other things that people see in this society as like, oh, well, that's the wealth, the $10 million or this house or this car. It's not. It's the radiant prosperity.
Yeah, it's the joy.
Sure.
For me, money is a tool for freedom and lifestyle. Nothing else.
Yeah.
When you have that, let's be honest. If you have the financial resources, you act differently. You give a lot more away. You let people borrow money. You do projects. Like you can give, and it's a tool. But I'm happy if I don't need the money, if I can live the lifestyle that I'm living right now. And there's been times when money has really gone down. It's COVID. It wiped out all my passive income. I mean, crap loads. I lost so much money.
But you were able to recover and bounce back, right?
I wouldn't say I've recovered financially completely from it, but I'm fine. I'm not going hungry. There's a lot of people out there that are in the, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They're at the bottom. They're really struggling. It gets really hard to hit that self-actualization when you're like, I'm hungry and I'm worried for the safety of my wife and my kids, right? So there needs to be a lot. And I don't want to downplay that and say that anyone can do this, but like, there is a shift in mentality that we can do, because we didn't have a lot of money, and I came from a very closed-minded, small place. It was rough.
Out of New York, right?
Yeah, it was Rochester, New York, inner city. And I love my parents, but they got sucked into an occult that was like around a business. It was basically a business Christian cult called Amway. And I don't know if you're familiar, but it's a multi-level marketing pyramid scheme, and they got used, quite honestly. And we weren't super poor, but it was like, if I needed something, I had to figure out how to make money from my first business was probably 7-8 years old, right? And like, I am not educated at Ivy League school. Some of my friends, I get, sometimes I get a little imposter syndrome sitting in a room with these entrepreneurs going, and they're in the Wharton Business School and Carnegie Mellon, whatever. And I'm just like, I did a little bit of community college,
Yeah.
But it's a school of hard knocks, right? And it's a school of mistakes, and there's a lot to that. And I would say even what I learned in school wasn't as useful. A little bit, some of the accounting was useful, but man, you learn by trying, figuring it out, make mistakes, create processes, readjust. It's just part of the process. If you are not failing and making mistakes, you are not operating at your edges. I remember, when I was in my mid-40s, I'm skateboarding on this half pipe. I used to be a skateboarder when I was a kid. I loved that shit. So in my old age, I was still on the half pipe. I did have my helmet, knee pads, and elbows and wrist guards on there, but I'm skateboarding and I'm getting up there. I'm getting good and I'm grinding. I'm like feeling so proud. I'm like, I haven't fallen in a while. I'm doing so good. Then I was like, oh no, if I'm not falling, that means I'm not pushing
You're
my
not
edges.
trying, exactly. It's how we get up when we fall. It's most important thing. And it's like, yeah, we got to try constantly, and we learn from. I'm like that. I learn from trial and errors.
And learn how to fall.
Yeah.
That's an art form too.
And how to get
Failure
up
is an art form.
Yeah.
How to fall, get up, and smile and go.
Yeah.
Woo! Well, that was fun. Let's try it again.
Try it again.
You know, that's the art form of this. And it's like, I mean, have you had failed businesses before?
Oh, so many.
Yeah, great.
So many, yeah.
Yeah. And you've had successful ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do with Supreme Factory, to learn from the mistakes and failures in order to make it successful and more impactful, you know. But those are the amazing things. Yeah.
What kind of investments are you doing with Supreme Factory? Is it like all investments or a certain type?
So we did probably 10 years in London and here in Bali for some time, maybe a few companies here. One is AI for coaches, for wealth and biohacking. There is one tea community as well. There is one organic food distribution. There's all sorts of things.
It's all over the place.
But it's mostly related to impact.
Okay.
And what sort of impact can we bring communities, and there is underlying deep technology such as AI has always been for us early in the days, and then Web3, which is mostly on infrastructure level rather than crypto. So these are kind of the base foundation for everything that we can build on top, whether that's a community, wellness, food or education on top of those things. And we try to bring these companies to the next level with advising, with bringing capital, investments, and really changing the world. You know, it's mostly the founders that I'm interested in. If there is someone who's really has a potential or that really prosperity, then we would work with them.
Cool.
Yeah. It's about a community, like you're building your community. So I'm so grateful, man, for this chat.
Yeah.
Really grateful, and so honored to be here, and grateful for everybody tuning in and listening.
Yeah. So if people can follow you, I am Prem Sangeet on Instagram is the best way to get a hold of you. Anything else they should check out? Yeah, you can check out startupgrind.com. It's if you're in any city around the world, you can join our community, come to our events. My venture studio fund is supremefactory.net. You can check the retreats and events. We're doing a lot of things all the time. Yeah, and I'm Prem Sangeet, and hit me a message if you like this. Just leave a comment. I would really appreciate the feedback. And if you want to share, learn something more, or just want to share, just get in touch, make that connection. Yeah, take the leap. Do something outside your comfort zone. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Joe Che, and have a great night. Ciao. Ciao.